again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 18th day of June in the year 2024. And with me is somebody who has not been here in a couple of weeks. My fault because of my move back to Kearney, but he's here with us today, so that's all that matters. It is the one and only, incomparable Harrison Weather Center longtime director, Tony Mondaro. Good afternoon, brother.
Kevin, it's hot outside.
Whoa. Is it ever? Where? And I mean, it just came out of nowhere. I mean, it was beautiful days the last couple of days, and now it's, what is it now, 90 already at this point in time at 1:32 p.m.? Unbelievable. Can you tell us about what's going on right now and why it's so damn hot?
Yeah, well, that high pressure that gave us the beautiful weekend is now moved offshore, and now we have a dome of hot high pressure over us, and that's going to give us essentially our first heat wave of the season. A heat wave is 3 consecutive days at 90 degree or above. We were 93 degrees yesterday. We'll probably get around 93 today. I don't think we'll get much higher than that. But on Thursday and Friday, we take a shot at 95 to 100 degrees. And, you know, this is usually the key. If you have 90 degrees at 9 o'clock in the morning, I call it 90 at 9, you have a good chance of hitting 100 for the day.
Is that right?
90 at 9. The formula, I don't know. I developed that formula here at the Weather Center through the years.
Right.
And it seems to work. You get pretty close. Now, I dove into the archives, and I'm saying we didn't have anything over 100 last year. So John Murphy, the voice of Harrison, when you get those robocalls, it's usually John or Jack Murphy.
Right.
And he does our climate, and he's pretty good. And Jack tells us that the last time that we had 100 degrees in Harrison was July 22nd of 2022, when we had 100 degrees. The 23rd was 101, and the 24th was 102 degrees. So we actually had a heat wave of over 100 degrees just a couple of years ago in July. Now, this prior to air, Kev, we were talking about when was the last, Tony, this is early for to have a heat wave, and it is a little early. Usually the first week of July, you can get into the 90s comfortably, and now we're set with this possibility right through the middle of August. So the dog days come early for us. Now the question is, two things we're worried about. It's the graduations. You have the graduations now coming on Thursday night and Friday night in the local area. I think places like Kearney High School, it's a little cooler because the sun's going to be setting behind the building. Where in Harrison, you're going to have the sun right on the field. In North Arlington, you have the sun right on the field. And in Lyndhurst, you have the sun right on the field. So I think easily for Thursday and Friday for those graduation times, we're going to have temperatures between 90 and 95 degrees, oppressive humidity. And those that are out there listening to us who are elderly, who are going out to that ceremony, try to get plenty of water, drink plenty of water, light color clothing, and take it easy. Because I know, the elderly like to go out there and see their grandkids graduate, and they should, but use extreme caution. This is not going to be nothing to play with. Simple things for heat precautions: stay inside, plenty of hydration, liquid, no alcohol, but water, Gatorade, and such. Check on the elderly. Check on your pets. Don't have your pets out there. Remember, the paw pads of a pet, walking them outside, it gets awfully hot, those sidewalks, easily 100 to 150 degrees, if not more, when we're approaching temperatures in the 90s and you're walking the puppy. Maybe try to do that in the evening, or if you have a yard where there's grass, it'd be a heck of a lot cooler for them. So do I think it could break? Yes, it could break over the weekend. Depends on the front. And we can have maybe some local effects. I'm starting to see some thunderstorms that were not in the forecast the last couple of days overachieve in eastern Pennsylvania. They can drift down off of New Jersey, too, over the next couple of days, too, in the afternoon and evening. They'll be isolated, and not everybody's going to get them. So, we're in for this first stretch. I think we're not out of this until, Kevin, unless that front cooperates sometime later in the weekend or early next week.
Sometimes when those storms do develop, you mentioned a term that I've always wanted to ask you about, and I think now's a good time. I think it's cloud to ground lightning. Is that the
Yeah,
terminology? Can you explain
yeah.
that a little bit to the viewers what that means?
Right. So there's three types. There's cloud to ground, which is just the bolt that comes from the ground or the cloud. You can go either way, up and down, boom, flash, or you can get cloud to cloud or cloud to air, which the strike goes up. Most of them are negative charges or cloud to cloud strikes that we get. But if you ever are watching lightning detection and you have a lot of cloud to ground activity coming, I would call it the wall coming when we see a wall of white on our maps over here, you have a good chance of severe weather when that occurs too. So it's nothing to play with. If you're outside, you hear one thunder, you got to get inside. You're close enough to be struck at that time, and usually you'll start hearing that thunder within 7 to 10 miles of the storm approaching. And you got to be careful too, because if you have a southeast wind, you have a boundary set up. Sometimes you can have thunderstorms that could develop right over the local area.
My goodness. And taking it one step further, is there a rule of thumb? Let's say, like, if there's a consistent amount of thunder and lightning during a
Yes.
storm, before people would be wise to go outside, is there a certain amount of time between when the strikes end that would be better to go out? How does that work?
Well, how's that work? Is as a thunderstorm is passing by, you get that what you perceive would be the last thunderclap. Usually, wait about a half an hour, then proceed out. What I would do is give it a buffer, 45 minutes to an hour without hearing it. Then you're really safe. It's a real good buffer, and then venture outside. With all the technology today, a couple of your favorite episodes at a half an hour of anything. My favorite episodes to watch was My Little Pony when I was, with my daughter a few years ago. So two episodes of Rainbow Dash, which is the only pony that can control the weather, and then it would be safe to go outside. But it's a good tip, Kev. Yeah, I would say at least an hour after that bolt, and then you can continue to go out because even at a half an hour, we call it a bolt from the blue. It may look like it's clear, but that thunderbolt or that lightning strike can still come and get you.
Could still come.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Have you ever been dangerously close to a lightning strike?
Yes,
Yeah.
here at the Weather Center, if you take a look at the houses, both Malone and Davis Avenue and Davis Avenue and Hamilton Street, you'll notice that they are like pointed like a castle like this. And
Right.
what happens is when they're taller than the Weather Center, they have gotten struck a couple of times in my lifetime here. And what happens is it happens concurrently where you get the flash and the bang, and that's how you know you're really dangerously close.
My goodness, I can't imagine what it must be like to have to go through that. Can a person survive being struck? I guess there are cases of that, right? When you get struck, but the amount of electricity must be extraordinary.
Yes, but I wouldn't find out. And a lot of times when people get initially struck, they go into cardiac arrest.
Afterwards, okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Hmm.
If you're just
Yeah.
joining us, Tony Mondaro's here with us from the Harrison Weather Center. He, of course, is in my former hometown because, as you know, I moved back to Kearney on Saturday, Tony. So we were so close, neighborly, yeah, a couple of blocks away, but that's all changed now that I'm back in the town of Kearney. So I'm going to miss that, even though we never really crossed paths in Harrison, which is kind of crazy, right?
Well, you're doing the news and I'm doing the weather. We're busy trying to get the headlines of the breaking news and the breaking weather. And rumor has it, Kev, that Harrison will sadly never be the same now it's wet weather.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony. Uh, on the way out here, the Mets. My uncle Mike is watching us from San Diego. All of a sudden, they win six in a row. I am not buying into any of this crap, and I told Bob Pizzola this morning until they win at least 11 or 12 in a row. What say Tony Mondaro?
I say have the Grimace throw out that first pitch a little bit more. That's what they say. What happened? The Grimace is the good luck charm, and I think you'll be seeing a lot more of that Grimace if they continue to win.
Well, did you know somebody, I don't know who it is, but he was identified on Twitter yesterday, got a Mets custom jersey that said number 55 and the name Grimace. So there are.
Absolutely great.
He's obviously got a lot of expendable money that he can go get a personalized jersey, which would be almost $300 with Grimace on it. But I guess that's the good luck charm. You believe in that kind of superstition?
Many do, and I take it with the Mets day by day. But I guess just to the right of you, our boss there, Lisa, probably very happy with her New York Yankees.
Well, you know what's funny? She's at the house today, right? But what do the Yankees have? 50 wins right now, I think, something in that range, and
Hmm.
never satisfied. You know, even Bob Pizzola was saying, "Oh, I don't know. There's certain things that aren't right with this team." With 50 wins, nobody else has 50 wins, and they just get so cocky. It's just unbelievable. But we love Lisa, so we're happy for her that the Yankees have the best record.
Absolutely. As my brother Paul would say, too many tools with the Yankees.
That's exactly what it is. Exactly. Is he a Mets fan or a Yankee fan, your brother?
We're all Mets fans because growing up, we were not allowed to like any other team. You weren't allowed to be a Yankee fan
I
growing up.
love.
My first words as a kid, Kev, wasn't mommy or daddy. It was Metsy.
Oh, you are
Mem-
a Casey Stengel man at heart, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Oh, well, I had two cats that were named Metsy, by the way, because of Casey Stengel.
How do you like
How
that?
about that? Yeah, one's been gone for 25 years, but I love that
And,
thing.
and, and before I go, Kev, I have to give the tagline. Everybody, please like and subscribe.
Oh yes, yes. So let me put this up here on the screen because I don't put it up until you remind me every time, which is just ridiculous. But it's great that you remind me. But we also have this one too, Tone. I don't know if you've seen this because I don't think I've used it as much as I should. But there it is. You
That's
see,
all.
that's it. That's it. Only
I,
Tony
I,
Mondaro gets that. Nobody else.
And and let me tell you, it's been a pleasure to be back with you guys this week. Kevin, thank you very much for the opportunity. Lisa, we know Yankees always. I'm sure you'll remind us of that right through the month of
Oh,
October.
she certainly will. Yankees always, indeed. Tony, I'm so glad you were here too. Well, let's do it again next week, okay, brother?
Absolutely, sir.
All right,
And
man.
everybody, stay cool out there and be careful. And for all the graduates out there, congratulations from us here at the Harrison Weather Center and also the Observer newspaper.
That's
Great
right.
to see.
Thank you, Tony. And of course, anybody who needs to get caught up, you'll find it on Tony's Facebook page, which is listed right below his name. There will be updates there, I'm sure, if there's any kind of breaking news for storms. Thanks, Tony.
Absolutely. My pleasure, sir.
Later, brother. That is the immortal Tony Mondaro, the longtime director of the Harrison Weather Center. He joins us today from the Weather Center in Harrison. And man, was it good to see Tony today. It really was. Anytime we get to come on the air together is a joy. You know, we were going to be doing the news broadcast separate from the weather. And on Thursdays, Tony's going to do weather, but I'm still settling into my new apartment. So I hope you guys can understand. That's part of the reason why we're doing it together for now. Once I get settled in, I don't know if any of you have moved lately, but I never realized how intense it is to have to move. I have gone through things I never thought I would have to go through again. I was hoping and praying I would never have to go through again with this move, but it is taxing. You know, I've been in for 3 days already, and I feel like I haven't even made a dent yet. It's just so much more to do. So many. I've emptied 12 bankers boxes. You know what those are? The ones with the handles that you people put like 8.5 by 11 papers in. I've emptied 3 gigantic totes, and there's still like 12 of them strewn about. So trying to set things up and get the studio ready. I have to put together a new studio in my new apartment for the home broadcasts, which are often at nighttime because I'm not here at the office. And it's going to take a while. And so that's why I appreciate Tony being patient with us until I get settled in there completely. And I want to take a time to do something selfish right now. And that is, I want to thank Billy Haberther. Billy Haberther and 3 of his guys did my move on Saturday. And when I first met Billy at my apartment about a month or so ago. He said, "All right, Kev, it's probably going to take anywhere between 6 to 8 hours to do this move because I was on the second floor, so there's all these things that have to be brought down to the ground level. But then, fortunately, I live on the ground level in my new apartment in Kearney on Chestnut Street, right? So when I tell you that he banged out this entire move in 3 hours, I'm not kidding. Billy Haberther, to me, is my utter hero. He did his guys. I have a small refrigerator, just to give you an example. And one carried this thing down on his own. When I bought that refrigerator, it was so heavy to me that I had to flip it up inside the box every 3 or 4 stairs. So Billy Haberther, if you ever have to have a move done, this is not a paid advertisement, by the way. There is nobody who does greater work than he does. He is efficient. He set up so many things in the new apartment the way he thought was best. His eyes, his visuals are absolutely incredible. So, man, am I lucky. And I just had to give that shout out to Billy Haberther because he is an exceptional human being. And not only that, he runs a great business doing moving on a regular basis in and around the Kearney area. So I want to thank Billy. And before I get into the broadcast a little bit more, we have a couple of people that I want to welcome here who are here with us. Lisa is watching us remotely today. Lisa, I hope you're feeling all right. Lori Bradow is here with us as well. She, of course, is in Kearney, New Jersey. New York Mike 8 is my Uncle Michael. Muga is his nickname, and he is in the wonderful town of Carlsbad, California, I'm sure enjoying 72-degree weather and no humidity while we deal with 90 and humidity here in New Jersey. Carol Hearn Manley is here with us. I think she's probably down the shore, and if she is, she's probably with Mama June watching as well, so it's good to see them as well. And anybody else who is watching us here in the chat room, I want to thank you as well for joining us today. Now, I don't like doing this. I really don't. But sometimes I have to protect my own reputation because a couple of nights ago, I got a message from somebody that disappeared on social media. And anybody who knows me well knows that I don't go on Facebook anymore because it's become what I think is a cesspool of innuendo and lies and backstabbing and attacking and you name it, right? So I get a text message on Sunday that you were just absolutely ripped to shreds by a sitting member of the Kearney Town Council. And so I went and I read it, and I got a little bit of a chuckle after it because in the comments, the rest of the people decided to join in the chorus, including Tom Eckel, who is the husband of a sitting councilwoman as well, calling me a two-bit journalist from a local rag and all this other stuff. I always love when people turn into calling us a rag because they often don't know what a rag is, because if we're considered a rag, I couldn't even imagine what they would call the New York Post or the New York Daily News, because we are not a rag by any means. Now, here's what Mr. De Silva says. You can see it right here up on your screen. My populist, sensational drama-infused tabloid article was crafted in a pedestrian manner at best. You had so many boring, predictable jabs that I had to read it a couple of times to find a hook deserving of a comment. That's fine. I understand when reading becomes a challenge, you have to read it more than once sometimes. Reading comprehension was never my strong point either. Kearney knows that I lost the primary. We're going to disagree right here. The reason that we operate as a newspaper is to give the news. And this happened, this story that appeared that Mr. De Silva takes exception to, appeared a week after the election. So, no, Carney didn't all know that you lost the primary, because not everybody is hooked on social media and reading what's online every single day. I have gone through this with the social media nonsense for years, that just because it appears on Facebook doesn't mean it didn't happen and people don't know about it. They don't always. Senior citizens don't go on Facebook most of the time. Some do. There's no doubt. Some absolutely do, but not everyone. So, the purpose of that story was to recap what happened in the election the Tuesday prior. This is what happens in a democracy. There's winners and there are losers. That is correct. There are winners and losers, and you were the loser. If you believe in democracy, which I do, then you accept that. I do. I did. I even congratulated Fred and the mayor for their hard campaign to defeat me. The evidence was recorded in my report during yesterday's council meeting. Well, I didn't report that because our newspaper goes to the printer on Mondays. The council meeting was on Tuesday. That's why that wasn't included in the newspaper. Our newspaper has gone to the printer every Monday for the last 25 years. And that's why it wasn't reported. So, if I had known, I probably would have included that in the story. But I didn't know that yet. The other thing is, I watched that meeting on Zoom, and as soon as Councilwoman Eccles said the microphones are working great, they all conked out. I couldn't hear a word you said when I was watching it live. So it would have even been a challenge to use that to make a transcript. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Back to my boring article, and a comment deserves my attention as well as anyone's attention who believes in the democratic system of government, whatever that means. Yeah, it was boring to you. It was probably boring to you. That's fine. That's fine. You want to insult me, you can go ahead and insult me. That is perfectly fine. But believers in autocracy and authoritarian rule will be annoyed, enraged, and then make closed-minded comments. If there's one thing in this world I hate, it's autocracy. I've seen it. You've seen it. We've all seen it. To make an accusation that I somehow believe in an autocracy is about as obscene as anything that anyone could say. It truly is. When referring to my loss in the election, you wrote, "The man who was appointed to the seat against the wishes of Mayor Carol Jean Doyle." Those were her wishes. She didn't want you to get the seat. So I'm not sure what I should have said that would have been any different from what I said. But she didn't want you to get the seat, and you got it anyway. And then you went and lost in the primary. So what is the point here? I'm not getting this. You used the words wishes in your sentence. And now this one is the best. As a graduated student of history with a focus on linguistics, I am surprised you would use such strong deterministic language. Renato, a Jesuit priest friend of mine once said, when somebody has a master's degree, all it means is they know more bullshit about a topic than somebody who doesn't have a master's degree. So if you're going to throw at me that you have a master's degree with a focus on linguistics in history, and that somehow cheapens me because you have a master's degree, you're wrong, pal. You've missed something here, and that's not right. And did you miss the Jubilee of the Queen? I don't know. It was 2 years ago before she died. She's now dead. You may know that. Charles is the king now, Charles III. Or did I miss the cause and effect of the American Revolution in 1776? Well, if we're going to be literal, I was born 198 years later. So yeah, I guess I did. Thanks. Much appreciated, pal. Much appreciated. But the bottom line is, I got the last word here, and in 3 months, you're out. And God willing, never again sitting in that chair. Okay, let's get to the rest of the newspaper. The Senior Citizens Picnic was last week on Wednesday, and they had to move it. They had to move it out to the VFW because for whatever the reason, there's all sorts of construction work going on at Doyle Pavilion. And they moved it here for the first time in a long time. I know they've had things there, but it was spectacular. It really, really turned out to be a tremendous, tremendous picnic. And there was at least 300 people there. Lisa and I went over, and we had a chance to see here. This was pretty cool here. You'll see in the bottom left corner of the screen, 3 chiefs are in that picture. That's Joe Mastandria to the left. Next to him is Scott McPhee, the chief of the Kearney Police Department, and then retired Fire Chief Stephen Dill, who were serving food to all of the senior citizens. That was a really nice thing to see, all 3 of the chiefs hanging out together. And to see Steve Dill, haven't seen him in a while. He retired a couple of years ago when Joe became the chief, and so they did a great job. And I'll be honest with you, this was the first year in the 6 years since this picnic started under Mayor Henry Hill, the late Mayor Henry Hill. And throughout all that time, this was the first year that Carol Jean Doyle, the mayor of Kearney, didn't run the picnic, and it was Councilman Status Theodoropoulos of the 4th Ward who ran the picnic. And credit is given where credit is due. It turned out wonderful. He did a very good job of keeping things together during the course of the day, and that's not a place where you want to louse up at all. And from all accounts, it looks like he didn't. So congratulations, Councilman Theodoropoulos, for getting the picnic done last week. It was a great time. Everybody had a great time. I didn't hear one person complaining about it, but I'm sure there was somebody somewhere who did. The Harrison High School Deca Club. This is kind of like a business club. This young man whose photo you see here, I want you to read about this, won a prestigious competition, and they put this club together a couple of years ago. Milton Velez, who was a teacher at Harrison High School, put this together, and they had a competition that I believe is national now. And this young man, who is a student at Harrison High School, just did a tremendous job and had a phenomenal showing, and I believe he's going somewhere in California for the next stage. So he's doing great work going on at Harrison High School. We talked about this last week. This was that terrible situation where a man was arrested after threatening to kill 3 people. In the blotter, there was a discussion that he would probably be out by Friday last. As of now, as of this morning, the last time I checked, he has not been released from the Hudson County Jail, the defendant in this case. So at least for anybody who may have been concerned that there could be some more damage that comes after he is released, he's still behind bars at the Hudson County Jail. So at least for now, I think anybody who was concerned that he might come after you or this person or that person can breathe a sigh of relief that he's at least behind bars for now. Laura Compton wrote this piece for us about the summer reading program in Harrison. This is a very big program. Every single year they do this, so I hope you will check that out. Things happen in the Harrison School District, and it's really great to see. And I want to thank Laura for putting this together for us. Laura has done some tremendous writing for us over the years. And the ironic thing is that she is an artist. There are very few people who are good artists and good writers at the same time. She is certainly one of them. This one came from Vinny Ortieri of the Lyndhurst Police Department. A guy was wanted for a crime, and he almost jumped off the balcony at the Winslow Motor Lodge. And it's a pretty big jump. If he had jumped off that balcony, he probably would have, I'm sure he probably would have survived, but I doubt his legs would be not shattered into a whole bunch of pieces. So the police officer, one of the police officers in the Lyndhurst Police Department, stopped him from jumping, which was a good thing. He, of course, was arrested and didn't get a chance to run away, but he wasn't going to run away anyway, even if he jumped, so it would have been very stupid of him to jump. Lo and behold, he didn't, so thank God for that. But great job by this police officer who you'll read about for saving him from what could have been pretty disastrous. This cartoon was sketched by our own Michelle Rybeck. And that's, of course, Cult, who most of you know through social media, all the posts that Lisa puts up and the photos of him who hangs out in our office on a regular basis, and we decided to call it Colt 45's Faces. And the general public is allowed or asked to caption these whenever they're released, and this was the one that we thought was best. I just don't understand people these days. And we want to thank the captioner and, of course, Michelle for her beautiful artwork. She is a very talented, very, very talented artist indeed. Hudson County Executive Craig Guy welcomed in former Governor McGreevey last week, and the pride flag was raised at the Hudson County Administration Building on Newark Avenue in Jersey City. So you see a lot of flag raisings in the month of June. Check that out when you get a chance. Now, this one is very interesting. This guy tried to pass a $3,400 check that was forged, and I think he had fake IDs. And, you know, people think they can get away with this, but bank tellers are so well trained now to detect when they are being scammed and when there's a forgery and things of this nature. So this guy tried to cash a $3,400 check. The bank figured it out, and he was arrested right thereafter. So good job again by the bank and the Lyndhurst Police Department getting this guy and putting him behind bars. And the photo you see here, just lastly right here, is from Harrison High School. Congressman Rob Menendez has a youth advisory council that he puts together, and these teenagers who you see here with Councilwoman Ellen Mendoza and Harrison High School Vice President Steve Lipsky, who was a former councilman in Jersey City years ago, were there, and it's in support of the kids from Harrison High School through Congressman Menendez, who you can also see in the picture dead center in the photo. And it is really cool to see how the young people are doing so many things, whether it's in Harrison, Kearney, East Newark, North Arlington, Lyndhurst, Belleville, Nutley, Bloomfield, wherever it is, these kids are doing some tremendous work. So I want to thank Steve Lipsky for bringing this to our attention and allowing us to share the good news with all of you that there's a lot of great things that are happening in our communities, and this indeed was one of them. Now, don't forget, we have 2 pages of classifieds, so if you have anything that you need to get out there, please get them to us next week, but there's plenty to read this week. Robin Mooney has joined us. Robin, was great to see you yesterday over at the Food Town. Robin, of course, works at the Food Town. I haven't seen her in ages, and I got to see her yesterday, and that absolutely made my day. Thank you very much indeed. And my Uncle Mike says that he's coming out here in August for a Mets series. That's great. Of course I'll see you. Of course I will see you. You're going out to Citi Field, I guess. I haven't been there since 2009 for various reasons. The one and only time I ever went to Citi Field was with Uncle Mike's son, my cousin Billy. So I haven't been out there in a long, long time. But again, the classifieds, check that out if you need a place to live, place to rent, anything like that. You will find it right there. Now, we will be back 1 week from today. If anything urgent happens with the weather, I'm sure Tony will give me a ring and say we need to get on the air, so I'll join you there. But otherwise, 1 week from today, we will be back with more news, or if anything breaks, of course, that is not with the weather, we will join you for that as well. So from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com, Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day. Stay cool and well hydrated, please. Bye-bye.